Hey friends, and happy Sunday. It is New Year's Day. Welcome to 2023. Okay. My last clip from the previous video was from Friday night. And since then, I have gotten 2 of the pieced sides onto the Snoopy quilt, and I really do want to show you, but I also kind of just want to save it for like a massive reveal. So I am currently working on making these are all squared up. Everything is squared up. So I'm currently working on making the zigzag, the last zigzag. I am so excited about having this quilt finished. I don't know what it is, but whenever I signed up to do the quilt, and like be a tester, and I actually got picked for it, I had asked her, because, you know, a lot of designers, like, they want you to do a test, you know, they want you to do a test quilt in fabrics that you would want to do it in. Also, because a lot of designers, not all of them, but a lot of them, design their quilts and make their cover quilts in solids. And the reason for this is, one, some people just prefer solids. They don't prefer prints. I have never made a completely solids quilt. And so I would actually really love to do that sometime this year, but I just love prints so much. So I like to mix solids with prints. But anyways, a lot of designers solely use solids because it allows people, or not allows, but it aids in people who prefer prints to see the design in their type of desired fabric a little bit more than if you see a design in prints. It's sometimes, for not everybody, but for some people, it sometimes like makes it harder for you to see that quilt design in other colors or other prints or in solids. So it's just, I think it's more, it like aids in the creativity of, you know, the customers, and those who are going to be making that quilt. And hopefully the sewing machine isn't too loud. But anyways, I didn't know, because I've made samples, right? Like, I've made samples for Kim, but Kim is giving me the fabrics from the store that is like a line that's coming out soon, or that she wants to like promote, or a pattern that she wants to promote. And so I've made samples for those things. And yeah. So just a little bit different of a vibe. So I had never tested a quilt before. And like, Nicole has, Nicole, if you watch this, I know she's tested several, and actually I told her about the Sawtooth Splendor sample or testers, and she got to be a tester as well. And I cannot wait to see hers finished. She's been working on it this weekend, or this last couple of days / weekend. So anyways, I asked the designer, I sent her, and I said, do you mind if we used pattern fabrics? Because at this point, the designer hadn't created like the group chat on Instagram. You hadn't seen anybody else's fabric pulls or anything like that. So I asked her, you know, like, would it be okay if I made the points 2 different colors? Because I didn't know how creative I could be, I guess. And so I told her like my idea, and she was like, oh, I have a soft spot for Snoopy. I think that sounds amazing. But like in my head, especially since, you know, it's a star quilt, right? It's an 8-point star. My brain instantly went to, if I make the baby quilt, it's going to be the easiest to make to a twin size. So one of my guest rooms, which one of them doesn't have a bed in it right now, and it's a hodgepodge of just randomness, of barely anything in it, but it's still really random. But the guest room that's the most put together and that people actually like stay in, like Heather, we need to schedule a weekend soon. But it is all decked out with Snoopy stuff. It has all of like my antique Snoopy paraphernalia. It has the stuff that was mine whenever I was little. Snoopy is very big in my family on my dad's side, and like huge. Like my dad's mom, if you give her anything with a Snoopy on it, it's like her favorite thing in the entire world. And same thing like with my aunt. My uncle also really likes Snoopy. My dad also really likes Snoopy. But me, my grandmother, and my aunt actually have like Snoopy collections throughout our house. I've just put most of mine in one room because it just made more sense. But I do have a little bit of Snoopy all throughout my house. Anyways, on the bed though, I don't have any twin size quilts because ever since I started quilting, I did still live in the dorms, and I did still sleep on a twin bed. But the first quilt I ever made was a throw quilt. Like me and my mom were making throw quilts right before she died, from our first class that we ever took. So, my first bed quilt was after I already like lived. Was I already in the house, or did I have an apartment still? I don't remember, but I wasn't in the dorms anymore. I was either in my apartment or I was already in this house. And the first bed size quilt I ever made was for my full size bed. And then whenever I got to my queen, I still used my full size quilt for like the longest time because, you know, it takes a long time. Well, it doesn't take a long time to make quilts, obviously, but back in the day it did for me because I was new at it. And it took me a really long time to be able to get things quilted because it just costs a whole lot. And it still takes me a long time to get things quilted. I love creating new quilts so much that I could totally like afford to get at least one quilt quilted a month, maybe even two, if I bought no fabric. But there's always fabric coming out that I want, because I get these ideas of these new quilts that I want to do. So, I do want to focus on getting some stuff quilted this year. And I do have a couple of friends from my quilt guild, one of whom she quilts her own quilts and she has the long arm. Her mom used to long arm for people. It was like a side business of her mom's, and I love her mom. I really want to go visit her soon. But she's been like off and on sick, so she's not been allowed like very many visitors. So I'm waiting to be able to go do that, hopefully sometime this month, because I have not seen her in forever. And yeah, anyways, Linda tells me that she has asked about me off and on over like the last several years that almost none of us have seen her. So I really want to go see Patsy, but Patsy used to quilt for people. And so Linda is also a quilter. She now has Patsy's long arm. So she quilts all of her own stuff. And Linda has said, like, you should come over one day and I'll show you how to do it. And you can quilt some of your stuff and for free. And funny enough, another Linda in our quilt guild, there's a lot of Lindas in my quilt guild. And a lot of Kathys. I don't know. But there's another Linda who about 6 or 7 months ago, she got a long arm. And so she's like figuring it out. And she was like, after the first of the year, she was like, you need to come over and we can like work on figuring this out together. And you can quilt some of your quilt tops and we can just hang out. And she was like, you can quilt them, like bring backing, I have to bring like my backing, my batting. Like, I have to bring my own batting, which is totally fine. It's like, depending on the size, it's like 20 to 30 bucks, depending on the size, to buy backing. And I don't know about thread though. And I don't know like what kind of thread like to buy, but I can always figure out thread. And, they're like, yeah, we'll have like a play date and you can like learn how to quilt your quilts and get some of your quilts quilted, and they aren't going to charge me anything because like I'm going to be doing it myself. You know, and if they want some money, like if they have thread and they want some money for like my use of their thread, like that's fine. And then I'm obviously still going to get some quilted by, you know, my quilters, that I go to. And so, anyways, I don't know, where was I going with this? Anyways, I've never, the twin bed in there has now it has my queen on there, because I have my newer quilt on my bed. But it has my previous queen quilt on there, and for the longest time it had the full size quilt on there, and it just doesn't go with the room. And so I've always wanted to make a Snoopy quilt, but like I've had like several ideas over the years, like because there's like novelty Snoopy fabrics that you can get, where you can find like an Easter Snoopy fabric, a Valentine's Day, a St. Patrick's Day, like a 4th of July themed one. You can find Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween. You can find like all the seasons. So I had thought multiple times to do like a 12 block twin quilt that specifically only had 12 blocks, and each block be like representative of like a month, or, you know, like the season, or like whatever holiday, whatever, and make it like a very crazy, like all year round Snoopy quilt. But some of the Snoopy prints, because I find a lot of them at Hobby Lobby, Joann's has a lot of them as well, but the closest Joann's is like almost an hour and a half away, like with traffic, not just driving. But spring traffic is kind of crazy. Like getting to go to 3 Stitches, just for instance, 3 Stitches is in spring off Louetta. Getting to there is like 40 minutes with like a good traffic day, 45, 50, like on a bad traffic day. But the time it takes to get from the main freeway on like exiting to Louetta to where 3 Stitches is 7 miles. And that alone can take you 35 minutes. That's how crazy the traffic is. 7 miles, 35 minutes. That's how crazy the traffic is in spring. And so there used to be a Joann's closer to where I am, like more in the middle, but now the closest one is spring, and it would be like an hour and a half drive. And I just kind of like forget about it, honestly, because I don't know, I just do. But the closest to me is Hobby Lobby, but Hobby Lobby doesn't always get the different, like, you know, the St. Patrick's Day, the Valentine's Day and all that. They always get Thanksgiving and Christmas Snoopy fabric, and then just like all the time Snoopy fabrics. Which I've never seen them carry the 2 that I got sent by the Etsy seller that I got these from. So funny enough though, Joann's carries these 2 fabrics, so I could have honestly saved myself some shipping money if I just would have gone there and they were on sale, whatever. It's a whole thing. So I may still one day make like a season, like a Snoopy Seasons quilt. If I like travel to Joann's, I might get, you know, like a 1/4 of a yard. I don't know, because I don't know if they cut fat quarters at Joann's, like a regular, like a normal like quilt store will. But you can just get a 1/4 of a yard. And it's the same thing. It's just you can't make bigger cuts with that. You can only make smaller cuts from it. But so you have to find like the right pattern. But anyways, I might still one day make a seasonal one because I have a couple different seasonal Snoopy prints. But anyways, I saw this pattern and like instantly in my brain, I was just like, the baby quilt is 2 inches smaller one direction widthwise of a twin bed. And the size of the rows, 2 additional ones would almost be the exact size of a twin bed. And so it just, I don't know, it just clicked in my brain, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I could make a Snoopy quilt. And then I was thinking about the drop borders, right? And in my brain, I was just like, I could make a zigzag around the edge. Like I could do it. Like it would be a lot of work, but I could do it. I could easily do that. And to, you know, tie in like Charlie Brown and bring in, you know, like the yellow from Charlie Brown and from Woodstock. And I don't know, it just all came into my head, and it was like one of the most brilliant moments in my brain I've ever had, I think. So I sent some sneak peeks to Heather and Nicole last night, and Nicole literally goes, I feel like this is going to be your favorite quilt of all time. And I'm like, it'll definitely be in the top 5, I think. Like my favorite quilt, probably one of my favorite quilts that I had nothing to do with, is the throw that my mom made, because she never finished it. And so I was new in the quilt guild, and the ladies finished it for me for my graduation gift. I sent it home with my friend Martha from my guild back in the end of 2008, because she's the one who taught us the class. And I said, my mom messed up one of the fabrics somewhere, and I have no idea where. I'm very confused trying to figure it out. I just know that she accidentally messed something up. I can't get more of the fabric because it had been over a year. So I couldn't get any more of the fabrics to like fix it. And I was like, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix this. And I said, could you take a look at it and I said, could you just help me figure out how to fix the blocks that got messed up, so that way I can finish it? And she said, yeah. She was like, just give me all the stuff or whatever. And so I truly thought that Martha was just going to, I just didn't think about it. And it was, you know, I was trying to finish my undergrad, so it was like my last semester, and I honestly kind of forgot that I had given Martha like my mom's quilt. I truly had. I mean, like, your last semester can be a little hectic. So I had totally forgotten that I had given Martha this quilt. And at my graduation party, some of the ladies from the Quilt Guild came, and it wasn't ready, but she handed me the card, and I like read it, and all of them signed it, and it literally said, I don't have it to give to you today, but you'll have it in like a week or 2. She was like, but for your graduation gift, we finished your mom's quilt. And so that is probably my favorite. My second favorite is probably my Potter quilt. You know, even though there's like sad memories tied to them, there's also good memories tied to them. And so they hold a little bit more meaning than like all the quilts that I've just like made for fun. And then this one is just, I mean, some of my other quilts are a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but this one is just like, I just like doodled it out, and it is just, it's turning out so perfect. And it's coming together so well that I'm just like, wow, I did that. I just doodled it in a book, and I did that. So that to me is pretty cool. But yeah, so it has been a lot of work, but oh my gosh, it has been so worth it. It is so worth it. But yeah, it's just been crazy. So the plan for today, and it's already like midday. I don't even know what time it is. It's 1:30. I kind of got a late start. I was going to stay up and like finish this last night, and it got to be, I don't know, about like 12:15, and I had half of the squares trimmed out and like ready to go. And I was like, well, I should stay up and at least finish trimming out this, like all of these. So that way in the morning, all I have to do is just sew them together, put it on, and, you know, put the final yellow trim on. And then that's it. Call it a day. Snoopy quilt is done. And I was just so tired because I have insomnia. So I go through these like spouts of just getting really crappy sleep. And lately has been one of those like spats of really crappy sleep. So I was honestly just very tired. And so yeah, I got through half of the 79 half square triangles. Each of the long sides is 79 half square triangles. And the bottom, which I did first, was 42. So a total of 202 half square triangles. And then 3 to finish the connecting corner. It's 3 just solid yellow squares. Anyways, and this is really hurting. I got an aluminum foil paper cut this morning. Ooh. Whenever I like my hair, whenever I like do this, like my hair, a strand like gets in there and goes, feels super great. But my goal for today, I want to put up my Christmas decorations, at least the indoor decorations, and kind of, you know, like pick up, you know, my house and get it put back together. I also, between today and tomorrow, I want to pick up my office some because I've been doing like fabric pulls. So literally I'll have to show you, if I at some point stop to kind of organize the office before I work on the other quilt that I would love to get done today, I'll have to show you, but there is like fabric pulls in multiple places. I used like all the surfaces in my office to kind of like pick fabrics, but I needed to pull fabrics for the next 2 test quilts. So things are just like thrown and skewn about, which is, you know, super great. She says sarcastically. So yeah, I really, cause I have off tomorrow, but I also have my Quilt Guild meeting tomorrow. So I want to get the Snoopy quilt done. I'm going to get the Snoopy quilt done for tomorrow's meeting. And so I don't think I'm going to post on, as much as I want to, I don't think I'm going to post on social media. Something is off. Wait, no, that's correct. Okay, that's right. Yes, no, maybe, no, maybe. Okay. It looks really weird. Okay, yes, that's correct. Okay. Whenever you're doing, so the other side that I did was easier because I started with the wonky corner. And so, but this time to do the other side, I'm putting it together this direction. So I'm trying to like finish up over here and I'm like, why does it look really odd? And it does, it looks really odd to end with the weird corner, but I have to do the weird corner at some point. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to post it until after my meeting because some of my Quilt Guild friends follow me on Instagram and I would be too tempted to post it on Instagram and Facebook. And I kind of want it to be a like insane reveal, like at my Quilt Guild meeting tomorrow. I kind of want it to be like slightly dramatic. I do. I'm that excited about it. And there's a couple of Quilt Guild members who are also very like Snoopy people. And so I kind of want them to be like super shocked also. That is how impressed I am with how these how this border is coming out. I'm that impressed. I'm that impressed with the brainchild coming to life. It's not that I'm impressed with myself. It's that it's looking better than my brain even imagined, if that makes sense. And it's blown me away. And I threw it on the bed just to kind of like see what it would look like. And why do we even have to get quilted? Like, I just want this to already like be on the guest bed. It's that freaking cool. It's that cool. So anyways, there's that. But yeah. I want to get this one done for my Quilt Guild meeting tomorrow. And since I have off tomorrow, I want to organize my office and get it like ready to go for work for like the new year. And have less distractions everywhere. It also just like makes it easier, right, to, you know, function. Even like whenever I'm like quilting. So I just want to like organize, you know, like I want to reorganize these bins. One or two of the bins don't even have whips in them. They just have like proposed, you know, projects in them. And so unless they're a proposed project that I'm going to start really soon, I kind of want to clear them out of and only have whips and like the stuff that I want / need to work on in January. So there's a lot of other things that like I want to get done today. And I also, because it's the 1st, so I can now complete my temperature quilt for 2022. And so I have November and December rows to finish. So I also want to get those done. And so yeah, there's just a lot that like I want to accomplish and to get done. So that's just kind of where I'm at today. So now I'm at the point where I have the 2s put together so I can sew. So basically what I do is I sew all of these 2s together, and there's a lot of rows. There's just so many of these. There's 41 sets, I think is what it is. So I sew these all together into 2s, and then also the 2s in together into 4s, and then I just keep on doing that until I have the whole strip together. And then once the whole strip is together, then I attach it to the quilt, and then I just have a final single yellow stripe to go around the whole thing, which I on the other long side I already put the final stripe because I have to put the final stripe, or I don't have to do, I could have done it on the bottom and then the sides, but I decided to do it on the sides on the sides first. So on the one side that is already done, the long side that's already done, I put the strip, the final strip on the side. So now I have to get this side done and its final strip on, and then I can put the final strip across the bottom. So it's all coming together. It looks so good. And I've been sending pictures to like my aunt, my grandmother. I sent my grandmother all of the videos. I've been sending my aunt like some sneak peeks as like I'm going. And she's like, you should literally like make these and just sell Snoopy quilts. And I'm like, no. Would I remake this though? Yes. But it would cost though, because this is taking this border is a lot. This border is a lot. And it took a lot more fabric than I thought that it would. But I'm so glad that I finished buying out the bolts. And I'm honestly, like, I'm praying that I don't need to take any more. I don't know. I'm most likely, once I do finally get this quilted, I most likely will have to get more of this yellow for the binding, because I have just under half a yard, or just over half a yard. And it may or may not be enough. I think I have just over half a yard, so it might end up being enough. It just makes me so nervous. Not having enough makes me nervous because, like I said, dye lots. Like, what if like the next batch is just a tiny bit off? It's not going to match, and that would throw me off. That was the sentiment that Doris, the owner of one of the shops that I got the green from for my English paper piecing quilt, the Grandmother's Flower Garden, that she said, she was like, you know, it might be better to get all of your yardage for the green from, you know, the same dye lot. And I was like, that one doesn't bother me as much, because those quilts, especially since I'm using like original, like traditional colors for it, with like the 30s prints, like it wouldn't bother me, because a lot of those quilts were made with like multiple shades of green, and they're stunning. And it's not because like they washed weird or differently. It's just because like they bought fabric whenever they could, and they bought whatever green was available. So I think for that quilt, it just adds character. For this one, I think it would actually kind of like mess up the flow and like the vibe that I'm going for. But anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling, because I could literally ramble for like several hours, and you may or may not, I mean, this video would be way too long if I did that. Maybe I just put out videos more often this year. Just whenever like I've rambled to like an hour and a half to 2 hours, like I just post it. Maybe that's just what I do. Who knows? We'll see what 2023 brings for my channel. And all of that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't. I'm loving this like way too much. There's so many sets. I feel like I have so much more like left to go. But I mean, once you get like a rhythm, and it starts going pretty fast, but it's still a lot. It's a lot of work. Like, the quilt itself was a lot of work, because I mean, those types of blocks just have a lot of, you know, pieces and like moving parts. But this border has been a lot of work. Like, trimming these to the right size alone took an hour per side. So like I trimmed for the full border, I trimmed for about 2.5 to 3 hours for this quilt, just for the border. It's all pieced. So I mean, yeah, that's a lot of work. If I were to make this quilt again for somebody, not even to mention like how much the fabric costs or anything, like we aren't even talking about material cost. In time, just the borders would be $80 of the cost, because of just how much actual time and effort and work are in the borders. $80 to $100 would be the borders by themselves. So that's a lot. Is it worth it? Yeah. I mean, you have like a really well-made heirloom quality quilt that, you know, is great, but wow. Time is money, guys. I am starting to actually learn that and value and understand the value that my time has. So I'm excited though. I'm excited, and I hope that people actually really do want to, those that said that they would love to work with me on a custom collaborative quilt. I really do hope that they meant it, because I would love to help bring somebody else's vision, you know, to fruition. I think that would be really great. But I also am going to charge what is fair. So, and I also understand that not everybody is going to be willing to pay that. So, anyways, all right. Let me let you go. I'm going to watch, I was going to finish watching Letterkenny the other night, but I didn't. So, while I'm finishing this, I'm going to finish the last like 2 episodes of Letterkenny from this newest, season 11. And then I'll switch back to SVU. I've been binge watching it for like months now, and I'm finally almost to the end of like season 21, I think. The current season is season 24, which I don't have Peacock, so I don't have access to it. But through season 23 is on Hulu. So, I don't know. I might get Peacock for like a single month, so that way I can finish SVU and get caught up. I really do. I like the show. I really do like the show. I don't agree with everything on it, but for the most part, it's pretty good. All right. Let me let you go. I will check in a little bit. My gosh, I'm gonna have to like release like 3 videos this week if I just keep on like rambling. It is Thursday, and I am officially working on one of my tester quilts. So this is for the Cattywampus. I decided to go ahead and do the Y seams first. They're not as hard as everyone has always made it out to seem. That or her instructions just really good. I will say though, I did have to take this block apart and try again, because you need to do a scant 1/4, and I can't for the life of me figure out a consistent scant 1/4 on my machine. So I did a 1/8 seam, which is pretty tiny, but this quilt will just have to have really tight quilting whenever it's, you know, quilted. And then it should be fine. They're pretty sturdy seams, so I'm not super worried about it. But you know, they are right on the edge. But anyways, they need to finish 6.5, or yes, 6.5. Yeah, they need to finish 6.5 squared, and these are now 6 3/4. So all the way around, I'll have to trim an 1/8 off. So which honestly makes no, like a 1/4 of a seam should work, but for whatever reason on my machine, a 1/4 is literally a hair too big, apparently. So yeah, so what this one is, it's a collection of AGF fabrics that are, I have one more round on these. So it's a collection of AGF fabrics that 2 of them are from the Halloween collection from this last year, but it comes out like middle of the year. So this one right here and the bats is from Sweet and Spookier. This pink I know is from Bookish. Let's see. This blue print is from Angles. Don't know. This is the Bookish print. That one I do know. This one right here is from Rosewood Fusion. So I don't know how old some of these are. I got all of these from a shop on Etsy, and I was just looking for florals that I thought would look good with the bats and the Halloween print to make it a not so Halloween. And then this one is, I don't know. My salvage is cut off from where it would say the name. And that's from the bats. Let's see if I can dig around and find it. I have too many scraps in here right now. I actually like really need to empty out my scraps and prep some to take them down to Kim. Let's see. Does this say? No. Of course it wouldn't. The one section that I found, it doesn't say it. Oh, okay. Her and History. Her and History. So, I don't know. It's an older collection, I think. I've never heard of that one. But I've only really known about Art Gallery for the last, like, year, really. And then my cornerstones are from Plaid of My Dreams. And then this is a Kona solid called The Blackest Black. Oh, the other blue. And then this blue, I'm pretty sure is also from Bookish. I cut off all the salvage on that one. And I have no idea. But I liked the salvage enough to not mess any of it up. So that should tell you something. It was a cute salvage, apparently. That, or I liked what it said. And then the bats are from Sweet and Spooky as well. These guys. So this is my main print because I love the little bats. And so what I did with the haunted house fabric, this fabric right here, this is just some of the scenes. So I needed 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 cuts. So I got to like fussy cut it. So we have like a kid dressed up as Dracula. We have the outline of 2 kids trick-or-treating with a little ghosty and a spooky tree. We have a little witch and a pumpkin. This is probably one of my favorites. This is a little mini cemetery with a little spooky cat. Then we have a little vampire girl in a pumpkin patch. And then this one I just thought was kind of cool because it was some of like the moon and, you know, like part of a spooky house and a really cool, like some trees. And then here's a little skeleton near a spooky tree with a ghost and a cute little moon. Let's see, what are some of the other ones? This one is pretty cute. Little witches with a ghost in the trees. Here is a bigger spooky house cut. And then I did these bats up in the tree. So I tried to like mix and match it. And then that same skeleton, so this same skeleton right here, oops, this same skeleton right here is this one, but by cutting it a little bit further over this way, you get a little bit of that cemetery piece, which that cemetery piece is the same one that the little cat is on. So that same little tiny cemetery is the one that the little cat is on. And then there's another little tiny cemetery in it that has a bigger ghost. So I got one of those. It's another one with the cat. I only had like 2 or 3 of these in the whole thing. So, and one of them I cut the wrong size. So I didn't, anyways. This one, we have the top of a ghost with a spooky tree and the bottom of the pumpkin patch. And then this little girl with a candy apple and the little skeleton boy dressed up. And there's that girl dressed up like a little vampire. Let's see, what are some of the other ones that I got? Creepy trees. Are there any others that are unique? Oh, I got one that was only the house. I thought that one was really cool. There's a smaller version of the house, and I lost the other cut from this that I've already shown you, because like I took a scene from next to it, and so I had to sacrifice another of that scene to get this scene. So sometimes fussy cutting is, you know. And then I cut this one a little bit differently to get a different angle of the scene. Let's see, those we've had. Oh, I thought this would be kind of cool, just trees in a cemetery with a little bat. He's gonna partially get cut off, but that's okay. And then we have some of the skeleton with the cauldron and the little ghost. Let's see. A close-up of the bigger house. And then I also got one of the little candy apple girl with the Dracula girl. And then I got a different angle with the cat. I made it more about the cat, less about the cemetery and the cat. And I think that's the one that I like messed up. So I had to finagle what I was going to do. Yeah, I was able to get several of these. Like certain scenes repeat a little bit more often. And also, like I said, you lose some scenes depending on how you cut them. So I have all of these ready to close up the Y seam, and this stack is ready for the final side, and then I have to close up the Y seam. So I think I'm going to do these first, and then I'll have half of them ready to be trimmed down, and then I have half, so there's 32 total. Then I still have half that I need to do, that I still need to do completely. So I'm kind of just doing it in like stages. So I might be able to like show you some of my workstation. So I have right here, I have my wool mat and my iron, which I actually need to kick that back to getting hot. So I have the finished ones here because I just recently pressed them. I'm just moving them off to the side because I need to finish the Y seam. And then I have this stack, and I have it in the order. I originally had these here, but since I'm doing half right now, I have them moved. But I have them in order of the colors, like in the order that I'm going. So, and I haven't decided yet if I want to like switch it. So like if I do half where this is the way the color looks, and it be like, so the way that the block looks is there's gonna be, this will be snowballed with this blue. So there will be blue corners, just imagine blue corners. So this will be snowballed, but it's basically going to be one of these, okay? And then one of these, another bat. So I haven't decided yet if like I want the colorway to be maybe like shifted, like reversed, if that makes sense. And if I decide to do that, then these two, I don't know, it'll make like an extra kind of like pattern within the block. I'm tempted to do that, but if I do that, I just have to rearrange the order of the prints. So this would become 1, this would become 2, 3, and 4. Whereas right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm still debating that. I could add a little bit more interest, or I could flip it, you know, like, I don't know. I might leave it, but I think it could look cool if it was flipped. And the reason why it matters is because I obviously want these to be facing the same direction. I don't want half the quilt going one direction, half going the other. So unless I change this order and do them a little bit different and have a, this is, you know, the upper left, or I mean, or I could even, I could do it like that as well and have the pear fabric touching instead. I actually might like that better. The too light kind of bothers me. This one might be better if I did it. And the bats go all different directions, so that doesn't really matter. Actually, yes. Yes. So the second half needs to go in this way, I think. But the center will be also going the correct direction. So that's why, that's another reason why I did half and half, because I thought about that and I was like, do I want to switch it to give kind of like a secondary pattern? Because then this will have corners of this blue here and it'll kind of look like a continuation. I don't know how well you can see that, but anyways, that's kind of the idea and the concept. I also think it'll tone down and bring in like that purpley pink and the orange. Okay, so I think that's going to be the plan. So the second half, I'm going to rearrange the colors. So yeah, how many do I have left to do? I think I saved out enough. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep. Okay. So there's 32 of everything. Okay. So we are going to move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So I have 8 more to do of this final side. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then I can rearrange my colors really fast to what they will be reversed. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yes. Okay. Perfect. All right. So I already marked with washi tape on my machine here. I already marked where I need to line it up for the 1/8 edge. And then inside of my wool mat, I have some pins. So this is the start of my Y seam, and I will show you whenever I start the next batch. But I might just like speed roll this. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm just going to line up my fabric. And that little Y seam, I just have it like flapped down because I will take care of that last. So I just pin it 3 times, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually press the rest of these. Just a tiny bit of like a fold crease on there. So I'm just gonna lightly press them. We'll press them better in a minute. And just line this up. And I like to chain piece. So I'm going to leave everything on the chain. And do the next one. So this is basically how I chain things. Move the flap down. Pin. You just have to move that little flap out of the way whenever you're getting the chain ready for the next one, because you don't want to accidentally tack it down from the previous or from the current. Flap. I'm really loving how these colors are coming out. And the rest of it should go a lot faster. I think the next like longest chunk of time for this quilt is going to be marking all of those. It's going to be marking all of these for the snowball corner. That's going to be like the next chunk that takes a fair amount of time. Because there's 128 of them. Like I said, there's 32 of everything. There's 32 of each of these colored strips. So really the only thing that there isn't 32 of is like the sashing, the cornerstones, and the snowball corners. But there's 32 of these blocks in the quilt, in the size that I'm making. There's 32 of the batt blocks. There's 32 of each of these border colors. So yeah, I could have made a smaller size. I could have made a smaller size and then just like added borders later. And I may still add a small border of the bats. And I might have to get more of the bat fabric to do it. Because I'd want it at least like 3 inches wide. So that way you would actually get bats cut out. But Because I really love the bats, and this whole like collecting of these fabrics was specifically to make a bat heavy Halloween quilt. I guess but to make specifically a bat heavy Halloween quilt that wasn't super Halloween. So the most Halloween part about it is going to be honestly these little centers of this block. They're very Halloween. They give off Halloween vibe, obviously. There's like little cemeteries and ghosts and skeletons and creepy houses and all that kind of stuff. But I'm hoping that in the grand scheme of this quilt, you notice more the soft florals, the bats. Like the bats are super, super sweet looking, and they're surrounded by florals. So I mean, like, they aren't creepy, like angry looking bats. They're like super sweet, like I want to be your friend looking bats. So I kind of really want to add an extra little bit of a border of just the bats to emphasize how amazing and sweet they are. Which may or may not be weird. Who knows? And that may or may not, you know, like look good, right? And I may or may not have more fabric. And I might not want to buy more fabric. So there's all of that in a nutshell. But I just wanted it to look a lot softer. Oops, shit. I wasn't paying attention, and I did a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, all right, easy fix. Pull, it's not up enough. Pull my string a little bit. All right, then I shouldn't need a starter. Or maybe I do. Come on, don't do this to me. Let's see how bad it messed it up. I have to play with it. All right, we'll babysit that one in just a second. Let me get these last two done. And we'll see. We will see. So for majority of the cutting of this, I didn't get to use my stripper tool. I keep on doing more and more patterns where I don't get to use my stripper tool. And I do have a little bit of haul. Actually, a little bit. I have a lot of it. I was given some fabric at my Quilt Build meeting on Monday. And then I made a few purchases in prep for a couple other projects that I'm pretty stoked about that are coming up. getting low. All right, let's see how bad. All right, got that fixed. All right, so let me finish cutting these. All right, and then I will press these really fast, and then we will close up the Y seam. Okay. Press these open. So I'm just moving the little tail out of the way, and then I'm moving this forward and just pressing it towards the side that I just sewed on. So move the tail, open up the side that I just added, and press towards that side. And then I sit on it for just a second to make sure that it's nice and crisp. Crisp. Okay, tail, side. Okay. Tail, side. Okay. Okay, so now we've got to close up our Y seam. So what you do is you basically fold this back over and this blue, and you just line it up with that final seam, and we're gonna put a couple of pins in it. Which direction do I want to go? I want to go this one. So I'm going to put a pin just past where my initial seam stopped. I'm going to put one where the seam of that last one is. And then I'm going to put a pin at the very end of the block. Okay. Okay. And then to do the next one, you just have to like move it out of the way a little bit. You just have to lift up your presser foot just a tiny bit. you have to lift up your presser foot just a tiny bit and kind of just move this one out of the way. So again, just gonna fold this down, and I have been pressing it, so the part that is sewn is pressed down some because I had to add this second side, and you can see it's like kind of a little funky. So that's why I pin it a little bit past where my initial seam started. So one, I can line those seams up, but also two, to kind of keep this fabric down and out of the way since it is already pressed. And then I'm gonna put the next one, like I said, at the seam for the final side. And then at the very end of the square. And if it's a little bit off, because scant is genuinely just not fun for me to figure out, because it's always different. I even told the designer that I was doing an 1/8 because otherwise I wouldn't be able to get it to fit. So she knows, but everyone else did it with a scant 1/4. So she does know that she needs to put on the instructions that a scant 1/4 is basically like required. Okay. Let me do this one. And because that's probably about as exciting as watching paint dry, I'm going to go ahead and press these open completely. And that is our finished Y-seam block ready to get sized down, which I know that since I didn't do these, I'm going to repress this one. Since I didn't do these from the very beginning, I'm going to finish up this stack of 12 more. I'm going to finish those up. I'm not going to square them up as I go. I like to do things in like sessions. So I'm going to finish up the other 12 in this rotation of the colors and press all of them, and then we will come back and I will show you how to do one of these blocks from start to finish. Okay, so I kind of got carried away watching SVU while I finished up those other ones, and I got them started and have one left, and then I remembered to stop myself to record the process. I don't know what just happened in the other room, but something happened. So we're going to take this last center square, and to start this off, I want to put my first border in the upper right hand corner, and you want to leave about 1 inch from the left corner because that's where our little flap is going to be, and that's where the Y seam is going to be. So what I've been doing is whenever I get to the end. So I start like in the middle and I go to the end, which you'll see here in just a second. I make sure that the needle is in the up position. I raise my foot a little bit, move that out of the way, have this lined up. And I'm going to push the thread a little bit and make sure there's the little tail. Make sure that I'm about around an inch away from the end. So then I just sew to the end. I'm going to put a starter piece on here and then I can cut the whole chain off. And then I'll complete an entire block just so that way I can show it to you. And then I'll do some speed through because that's always fun. I think so. All right, so here's my 16 with the first on. So I'm going to press this open. And I'm just pressing that part. I'm just pressing this end, so not the whole thing. So then the next side is going to be this side over here because again, our flap is over here. So we're going to get the next color, which is this guy. Come on. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to put one on the edge, one at the seam, pins, one pin at the seam, and one pin on the end. It's really weird watching the colors go in this new order. And then we are going to sew. I'm gonna make a new starter. I had to throw out all my other ones. They were getting too thread heavy. And whenever that happens, they don't go through the machine very well. All right, so now I'm going to iron open this seam right here. Okay, and remember we're going in opposite colors this time, so that way it kind of offsets the pattern within the block, which you don't have to do with this pattern once it gets released. It is being released on January 25th. I don't know. We have to have them done. We have to have these done by like the 22nd, and it's releasing like 2 or 3 days later. So it's a very quick turnaround, and I have one more for this designer to do, and I haven't cut out the fabrics, but I will show you that. I'll do like a major like fabric haul in this video. Okay, so then on the bottom, we take the next piece and we piece that down. Yes, I sew over my needles, pins. It's a habit that I got from my mom, and I've tried whenever I was first quilting, a couple of people would scold me for doing it. And so I've tried doing it without it. I've also tried, a lot of quilters are really into using the magic clips for piecing and not just binding. And I just, it annoys the crap out of me. I just want to go. I just want to go over the pins. Okay, so now we have the third border on. So I'm going to press this open. Okay. All right. And here's where we were for the last one. So let's complete it. So our last fabric is going to be this like purple peach. So tail out of the way. And then we are going to pin our piece in the 3 spots. So each end and where the last border's seam was, which isn't exactly in the middle, but it's not exactly like, you know, it's there. Okay, so now we're going to sew this. Make sure that your tail is out of the way, just like before. Okay. Little starter in there. So this is why I chain piece, is so that way I waste less thread. But if I am going to start and stop and do something, I put starters in between them. You do this for a couple of reasons. Like, one, it's, yes, you still use some thread, but you use way less than if you were to open up and pull. So that way, whenever you put the next piece in, it doesn't click it back up and you have to rethread. But also sometimes if you don't have a starter, whenever you're doing your next like piece, it'll sometimes like try to eat it and pull it down in towards the bobbin, and you don't want that either. So I'm going to press this open, and I'm going to keep that little tail kind of out of the way as much as I can. Okay. All right, so then we have it like that. So then remember, we're going to fold this down. I'm going to put the first pin a little bit past the original stitches. Then I'm going to pin it at the seam. And at the very end. Okay. Just like that. So now I'm going to sew this. And then I've just been hitting it with a little bit of a back stitch, just because it is, you know, from an open seam. Okay, put another starter in there. And then for the rest of the blocks though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in stages. So all of side 1 is done. I'll do all of side 2's. Then I'll put a new starter in. I'll press all of them. Then I'll do side 3, press them, all of side 4, press them, and then close them all off. But let me press this. Okay. And there we have it in our rotated color block. So super cute. I really like it. I love how the colors are coming out. I know that I didn't pull any oranges to go with this, but I'm thinking that if I add a second border in the bats, that's, you know, like 3 inches wide. And hopefully I have enough. But if I add that, then I can maybe make the binding a solid orange and really bring, you know, the orange out from the center. I think I might be able to do that. So, yeah, I'm really loving these. So after I get the other 15 of these completed, I can square up all 32 of them and have this block in the pattern finished. And this block specifically is called the Bright Hope block. And then the one that I'm using the bats for is just a basic snowball. So, and that'll be really easy, but I have a pretty hefty stack that I need to draw a line on. So, if I can get the rest of these finished tonight, squared up, and get all the lines drawn on this, I will be one happy camper, because then it'll go so much faster. But I mean, come on, these are gonna look so precious next to each other. Just imagine the blue little squares, and then they're gonna be framed in. So the sashing is this solid pure black, so it's gonna pull out some of that black, really frame them with these cute little cornerstones. Again, you know, it has the black in there, but it's also going to soften it up a little bit with the cream. So I'm pretty excited about this fabric pull. And I had a couple different quilts in mind for this collection. And whenever I got the okay that I was going to be a pattern tester for it, after I, you know, saw the cut requirements and stuff, I saw that one was like a main print. Originally I wanted to do Tula, but the prints that I wanted to use for the big squares, what my bats are, they would have just been big enough for the prints, the Tula prints that I wanted to use. And then I couldn't figure out what I wanted to use for the inside of this. And then I thought about these fabrics that I've been holding on to for almost a year, waiting for the perfect pattern. And yeah, I think this really showcases the prints in the exact way that I wanted to. But yeah, I absolutely love it. The only thing that I might do, well, no, I don't think I'll have enough. I was gonna say the only thing that I might do, the only thing that I might do different is there's obviously an outside border of this to tie all the sashing together. I might do a thin border of this, and then I might just buy more of the bats if I can find it and make that the backing, because I wouldn't mind having a giant quilt backing that's all the bats. That would not bother me at all. And then I could, you know, look for like the perfect either orange binding or blue binding to really pull out this blue, or even the green. I don't know. I mean, that's down the line, but I am thinking if I can find more of the bats, I would make that the backing and use the rest of this up as a border. Maybe. I don't know if I have enough. It would have to be a thin border. I wouldn't be able to do a very thick one. But it might be worth it to like really make it pop. I don't know. Okay, we'll see. Lots of ideas running through my head. That's kind of how my brain works. But anyways, I'm really excited about this. So now I will do the rest on a time lapse while I watch some SVU, and I will check in a moment. Happy Friday. It is January 6th. Yes, it's January 6th of 2023, and I have some stuff to show you guys. This video kind of goes a little bit out of order. I was hoping to show you my two finished quilt tops after I initially talked about them, and that's just not how it happened. But I am going to show them to you now. But also I want to show you this like fabric haul. Some of it I bought and some of it I did not. And some of this is actually some of the raffle like gifts for the UFO challenge for my guild. So some of this isn't even for me. So that stuff I'm not going to show you. So I'll show you what I did get. So one thing that I got, which honestly, I didn't forget that I ordered this, but I also didn't know when it was coming in. So it was a bit of like a sticker shock. Also because I didn't know what the price was. She never told me whenever we were talking about ordering it. But this is the Wonder Curve ruler by So Kind of Wonderful. There is a pattern. There's a pattern that has come out that uses this, that I really like parts of the pattern, but you can only buy the pattern as like this really expensive quarterly kit. Like it comes with all the fabrics, it comes with the ruler, it comes with all of the patterns and all of that kind of stuff. But I don't love the fabrics. And so, yeah, I just got the ruler because the ruler is something you can get. There's also a mini version of this ruler. But this is actually a quilt that I really like. And I've seen the butterfly pattern before. I'm not super into butterflies, but this is a pattern that I like. There's different flowers that you can make with this ruler and things like that. So I went ahead and said yes to getting the ruler because I would like to try a pattern with curves in it at some point this year. That is a goal. Okay. So I'll put that back down there. I got three things at Pages, but one of them is I got a little bit more of the Blackest Black Bella Solid from Page. And then I also got these two prints. So I'm not going to show you the black. It's literally the black fabric from the Snoopy quilt. And I'm also using it in my AGF Not So Halloween quilt, which I do have some progress of that. So I will show you what I have done. And I'm hoping to get a lot more progress done tonight. But I did get these two super, super bright ones. I really wanted to get these two colorways in the Sugar collection because I wanted to get all three of the colors, which one of them I got from a different shop, so I'm not holding it up yet. I wanted to get all three in the Sugar collection, but I would have had to order on Etsy, and the shipping for the like two stores that I found on Etsy that had all three colors was like, the shipping was going to be the amount, like it was going to equal the same amount as like a yard of fabric. So I didn't want to do that. So what I did instead was, Doris at the Fabric Carousel had, I think this is the rose colorway, but it's the bright pink sugar colorway. And then Paige had the turquoise sugar, but she didn't have the citron. So I went with the Added Up in the citron and the Hole Punch in the turquoise. And these three, I got a yard of each because I don't quite know what pattern I want to do yet. But I do know that whenever I figure it out, these are going to be sprinkled in. They're all Ruby Star. These are going to be sprinkled in with the new Ruby Star Achroma line, which is blacks and whites only. And it's absolutely stunning. So I thought, how like 80s, 90s would it be for a black and white collection to have random neon brights in them that look like freaking highlighters? And then I wanted to go ahead and just get enough so that way I would have some for the binding as well, because like you could slap a solid black backing on there or white, and then really frame it out with neons, like alternating neons. So anyways, so I got these three. And then I also got some extra muslin because I use muslin in a lot of my patterns, and I'm going to use muslin for one of my testers. And so I just got a yard of the 108 length, either the 108 or the 118, I can't remember, but either way it's like $15 or less in the muslin, which is a really good price for that amount of fabric. So yep, I got that. And then I got 2.5 yards of this wood grain fabric because there's another stitch along, quilt along this year. Let's see if it'll tell me. Okay, it's the 108. My bad. So it was actually $13 for a yard of this 108, by the way. Anyways, I got 2.5 yards of this. There is another stitch along. It's a Lori Holt pattern. It is called, I don't know, something spools. Anyways, it's a bunch of pieceworked spools. So you do different piecework like centers, and then you add spools on the sides of them, and then you turn them all different directions. So it looks like a bunch of like thread spools, but they're like pieced. Some of them are simple, some of them are a little bit more complex. They're really cute. So I got that for the spools because I think the cuts are like 2.5. So you would get like a really good like mix of like the grains and stuff, and it would look like old vintage spools. So I'm also gonna use muslin for the background of that one. And then I bought, you know, like some thread, and I needed some thread. And so I bought the spools pattern, and then I also bought the Book Nerd pattern because it came out today, actually. She had it up like late, not Book Nerd, Book Nook. I have the Book Nerd pattern. I'm never going to use it. The Book Nook pattern, but it was up really late last night. So I actually purchased it last night. But that is what this fabric is for, because I'm doing that quilt along. So, and that one starts on the 15th. But then we also have this fun stack of fabrics that was gifted to me by members of my guild at my guild meeting the other night. So I got this cute 30s Prince cat was gifted to me. All of this is cat fabric. Or not all of it. A little bit of it is Snoopy, but almost all of it is cat fabric. This one is 73 inches by width of fabric. How cute are these guys? And that's a big cut. That's just under 2 yards. So that's pretty good. And then this one, it says there's 3 different, wait, what? Okay, I don't know what the actual cut size of this is because there's several different cuts listed, but These cute little cats, they're like, these would be perfect for fussy cutting. Like if you didn't like it as a whole, like I'm not the biggest fan of them in the shoe, but it's kind of cute. But this looks very Christmassy to me. This one's just, it's cute. This is another really cute one that was gifted to me. So they came in with literally a stack like this high, and between like 5 of us, we split up all the cat fabrics. So this one is 18 inches by width of fabric, and it's just hot pink little cat paws. And this one is 115 by width of fabric. And this one is super cute as well. Would make a really cute backing. And then this one is not Snoopy, but I'm guessing that she used it with this Snoopy fabric whenever she originally was using it. So there's just some like Christmas lights, and then Christmas Snoopy fabric was also gifted to me by some of my friends in my guild. So that is all really exciting. Okay, let me show you. So in clips in this video, I was showing you how to do the Y-seam block, and I talked about the placement because I honestly thought that the Bright Hope box, or the Hope Bright square block, my gosh, I can't think of the words, was on the upper left and the lower right. It's actually reversed. So I tried this originally with the pinks in the center, and it was too bold and bright all right here, and it kind of like honestly hurt my eyes. This isn't the, so I unpicked this one, you can tell. I seam ripped this one, and I put it back together with the blues in the center. So this is now, I have 2 complete blocks, and I have 14 more to go. But yeah, so I like it better with the pinks on the outside, since my other plan of having this on the inside didn't pan out. So yeah, I think it looks better with the pink a little bit farther away from the center, especially with this, with the blue also as the snowball corners. It just draws your eye into the center instead of kind of like blinding you away from it. It looked really pretty, and actually I posted it in my Quilt Guilds, like on our private group, and it got a lot of compliments because it does look really nice, even with the pink in the center. It aesthetically looks really nice, but the longer I looked at it, I knew like I'm not gonna ever be able to like look at that quilt, which means I won't ever really use that quilt or want to get it quilted, because the pinks together with all that blue concentrated around it, it was just too bright and stark all together. And like here, let's see if I can kind of show you. And the blocks are not like facing the right way like this, but it was just really, really, really bright. And it really kind of like, it hurt my eyes. It still looks stunning like this with the pinks in the center. But for me, I kind of have to be careful. Like if I can't look at it for a fair amount of time while I'm creating it, because the colors are physically hurting my eyeballs and like making me feel like I'm gonna eventually get a headache from it, obviously I can't leave it like that. But I was so excited for having finished Y seams that whenever I finished my first block, this one, I posted a photo of it, and they were reversed, and I got a lot of compliments on it. And I you know, I responded, I said, thanks guys, I am going to rip it out because the pinks are too much for me in the center. And one person said that was literally like my favorite part. And I was like, I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, like, I just said I have chronic migraines and looking at it was hurting my head. And she was like, that's fair. So, I want to be able to love this quilt because I've always had a fascination with bats. So obviously I want a bat Halloween quilt. I do think that the bats kind of fade in, which isn't what I wanted. And the Halloween stuff is kind of standing out a little bit more than what I hoped for because they are like dark and they're silhouettes. And the bats are like lightly like drawn. But I still think that it's going to work. And I still might put bats as a border. So, and I may still put bats on the back. Who knows? Anyways, so that's where I'm at with this one. So hopefully I can finish this one. I need to prep I want to prep my Book Nook SAL. It doesn't start until the 15th, but I want to prep the fabrics as much as possible. And I want to prep for the garden quilt, which is the second one that I'm testing for the same designer. And then next week also, although next week is the fabric cutting prep week, so I could wait another week, but next week, I need to have my string of hearts prepped. And I'm going to have it prepped to a certain degree because I am winging the backgrounds. And I even told the designer that I was like, does it still count? Because we have to post, you know, like to be entered into like drawings and stuff. We have to post that we are participating in the SAL, like what's going on each week as it's supposed to be happening. Sorry, I needed to turn on my fan. And so I said, I'm not going to prep all the background and stuff because I'm winging it. It's going to be scrappy with leftovers. So I've got to find pieces that fit and it's going to be all random and mixed matchy. And, I might piecework like for some of like the bigger pieces, this piece might be big enough or like long enough and I just make it skinnier. But to add interest, I might also add this to it, right? And cut somewhere in the middle so that way you get a little bit of both. And she said, yes, it would count because she knows that I'm doing like a scrappy background. So yeah, I'm trying really hard. Like I said, this weekend, I want to get everything cut and prepped. And I really want to finish this by this weekend, the Cattywampus quilt, which I think is very possible and a realistic goal. But if I can prep Book Nook and if I can prep String of Hearts also this weekend, on top of the other one that I'm testing, then I'm hoping that before the other two even start, well, Book Nook starts next Friday, but before the other two get into, you have to start sewing things, right? I want to have the two test quilts done, finite. And I think it might actually be possible. The other one is looking a lot quicker than this one, and this one's not that crazy. Like this one is so much fun and easy to put together. Again, the patterns for both the Cattywampus quilt and Garden Gate are going to be out January 25th from the Log Cabin Quilter. So, okay, I think that's about it other than showing you my temperature quilt and then my Snoopy quilt. So, let me show you the temperature quilt first, which I'm not going to be able to show you the whole thing all in frame. If you want to see a full framed photo of it, please go check out my Instagram. It's KelliAnn86, and you can see the full photo of what it looks like the entire year. But I am going to do like the slow roll up as far back as I can get this, and we will do our best. Okay, So I did modify the top a little bit. I talked about this in another video, I think maybe in September or October. But I tweaked the top border. The border is supposed to be this wide all the way around, but I tweaked it a little bit so that way I could add the color range on the top, and then the color range you'll see is also on the bottom, except this one goes from low to high, and on the bottom it goes from high to low. So that way I could keep the directional fabrics directional. But every row, like this is January, this is February down here, every row is a month, and every column in the row is a day of the month, and the top color is the high and the bottom color is the low. So you can see it wasn't too crazy of a year until you get to like the summer where we had way too many 104 plus days. So here we go. There's also a lot of black highs, and they kind of fade into the background, so that's how you know like where the blacks are, is you can only see the low days, but in person the black is very distinguishable. Let me, whoop. This is my darkest month of this year. And then you can see that temperature row at the bottom going from highs to lows. So I will say that this quilt, its name is going to be 2022 was bananas, because of the banana fabric that I added in for the insanely hot temperatures that we had this year. I mean, I'm used to like 1 or 2, you know, almost every year, but that many, there's a lot of hot pink on there. I'm tempted. I feel like maybe the quilting should also be in hot pink. Anybody have thoughts and feelings on that? We will see. Okay. So, I am so proud of this quilt. You have no idea. So here's like the baby size. And here's with the borders. Okay, it came out so good. So the overhang on the sides is gonna start on each side about 1 inch into the blue. So just imagine you walk into a room that has literally Snoopys everywhere, and the side of the bed just looks like that. You would almost instantly know that that's what that is. And then if you look at the top and there's little Snoopys and Woodstocks everywhere, it all just ties in together so well. So I'm obviously not going to be able to show you the whole thing, but I will show you the top. I love this so much. It's so beautiful. And then I will show you the bottom where the borders connect, because oh my gosh, I'm amazed at myself with this one. And I you know, I impressed myself. Like, I had a vision, I doodled it out, but the fact that it actually like worked and it looks so good, I just can't even. So that's how the corners lined up, and they are perfect. You guys, they're perfect. I couldn't have asked for better points. I couldn't have. And it's like that on both sides. So that's how it connects around. And the corners have that straight angle. Yeah. It came out so good. It came out so good. Yeah. This room is a mess. So it's also another thing that I'm focusing on this weekend is organizing this a little bit more than what it is. Putting some stuff away, which will be really easy once I get things cut. So I'm going to work more on the cattywampus quilt tonight and hopefully get it done by tomorrow. If not, like early on Sunday, we'll find out. But before bed, Sunday night, I want to have those other 3 quilts cut out and in bins, organized. So that way I can just do them as soon as I finish one. I could just work on it and I could put it away. And then I want to work on some of my whips. So, and narrow some of that down. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I know that the spool quilt along, it started in January, but honestly, I haven't really found any official, like how many blocks you should be making a month or anything like that. So I can start that in February. And I can break it down over the year if I want to, but I also don't have to. So there's all of that, but I need to get this room organized. I need to put things away. I need to get these fabrics cut and put in the bins so that way there is some semblance of organization in here because it is driving me crazy. So yeah, that is where I'm at. I am so excited with how my quilts are turning out and the new things that I'm learning. It is so much fun being a tester. It's a little bit stressful, but it's also so much fun. All the designers are super sweet and appreciative, and yeah. Anyways, that is it for this video. And Happy New Year, everyone. Bye.